General Kurt von Tippelskirch, a name that evokes both awe and suspicion. His maneuvers, like a wolf stalking its prey, carved a path for the German war machine in early victories. Yet, his loyalty to the Nazi regime remains shrouded in ambiguity. Decorated with the Iron Cross, a symbol of valor in the German military, he later found himself commanding desperate defenses in the face of a crumbling Reich. Was he a brilliant strategist, a Sun Tzu for a mechanized age caught in the riptide of history, or a cunning opportunist who used his talents to propel the Nazi juggernaut? Born in 1891 into Prussian aristocracy, Tippelskirch's upbringing was a rigid march of discipline and unwavering loyalty. The prestigious Prussian Cadet Corps instilled in him an ironclad understanding of military tactics and strategy, transforming him into a prodigy of warfare. World War I, however, became a brutal baptism by fire. The horrors of trench warfare likely shattered his idealized image of military glory, leaving an indelible mark on the young officer. Captured by French forces in 1918, one wonders if witnessing the war from the other side, not as an aggressor but as a prisoner, forced him to confront the human cost of blind obedience to superiors. Did this experience plant the seeds of dissent, a flicker of doubt about the true purpose of war that would simmer beneath the surface throughout his career? Perhaps it was during this time as a prisoner of war that he first grappled with the ethical complexities of military strategy, the potential disconnect between battlefield tactics and the human cost. The Treaty of Versailles, a bitter pill for the defeated Germans, severely limited the size and capabilities of their military. Yet, within these constraints, Tippelskirch's star continued to rise. Frustrated by the restrictions, he nonetheless channeled his energies into innovative solutions. The rise of armored warfare captured his imagination, and he emerged as a leading proponent of mechanized tactics, publishing influential works like Modern War that placed him at the forefront of German military thought. The Nazi Party's ascent to power, however, presented a moral Rubik's Cube. Its ideology of aggressive expansionism stood in stark contrast to the traditional military values Tippelskirch likely held dear. Did he attempt to compartmentalize, reconcile his loyalty to his profession with the repugnant ideology of the Nazi regime? Perhaps he saw himself as a kind of apolitical technocrat, using his skills to modernize the German military without necessarily endorsing the Nazi agenda. This internal conflict would likely become a defining theme throughout his career, a constant push and pull between duty and conscience. The early stages of the German Blitzkrieg owed a debt to Tippelskirch's strategic mind. His emphasis on swift, decisive maneuvers with minimal casualties for his own troops seemed a logical evolution of his focus on armored warfare. We can point to campaigns like the invasion of France, where his tactics played a key role in the lightning conquest. However, as the war dragged on and the Nazis turned their brutality eastward, the question of Tippelskirch's awareness becomes paramount. Did reports or rumors of atrocities reach him? Did he voice any dissent, or did the convenient plane crash of 1944, which sidelined him from the increasingly brutal Eastern Front, serve another purpose? Was it a way for the Nazis to remove a potential dissenter or a fortunate escape for a man wrestling with his conscience? Some historians posit the crash was orchestrated, a way to silence a man who might become increasingly uncomfortable with the Nazi regime's methods. Intriguingly, some accounts suggest Tippelskirch expressed reservations about the invasion of the Soviet Union, a decision that may have further strained his relationship with the Nazi leadership. After recovering from his injuries, Tippelskirch's return to active duty was met with raised eyebrows. Was it a sign of Nazi distrust or a calculated move to utilize his experience in a less offensive, defensive role? His reassignments to the Italian front and then the desperate Eastern Front stood in stark contrast to his earlier offensive roles. Was this a demotion or a way for the Nazis to contain him and minimize the damage he could inflict with his strategic acumen? Did he use this positioning to his advantage, perhaps subtly disobeying orders or finding ways to minimize casualties under his command? Historians continue to pore over documents searching for any evidence of such actions. Some point to his later writings where he seems critical of Hitler's strategic decisions, suggesting a growing disillusionment with the Nazi leadership. Perhaps this reassignment offered him a chance to distance himself from the barbarity on the Eastern Front, a way to fulfill his duty as a soldier while minimizing his culpability in Nazi atrocities. Maybe he saw this as an opportunity to limit bloodshed on both sides, a way to mitigate the devastation of the war's final act. Captured by American forces at the war's end, Tippelskirch skillfully avoided war crimes charges. He likely argued that he was a soldier following orders, a cog in the German military machine, not an active participant in Nazi ideology. His post-war memoir, History of the Second World War, offers a fascinating, if potentially self-serving, perspective. Did he downplay his own role in the early victories, gloss over any awareness of Nazi atrocities, or paint himself solely as a military strategist untainted by the political machinations of the regime? Historians continue to debate his culpability. Some see him as a reluctant participant caught in a web of circumstance. Others argue that his expertise, even wielded in a defensive role, ultimately served the Nazi war machine. Perhaps the truth lies somewhere in the murky space between these two extremes. Tippelskirch, a man of unquestionable military intellect, that found himself entangled in a conflict that transcended the battlefield. Torn between loyalty to his country, his profession, and perhaps even his own conscience, he remains an enigma, a soldier forever cast in the long shadow of World War II. Kurt von Tippelskirch, a brilliant strategist who abhorred war or a calculating opportunist who enabled Nazi aggression. The answer, like the man himself, remains shrouded in complexity. His tactical innovations stand alongside his wartime actions under Nazi command, leaving behind a legacy that continues to spark debate. Further research may illuminate the murky corners of his career, but the final verdict on his role in World War II rests uneasily in the hands of history. Was he a hero tragically misplaced, a villain in disguise, or something far more nuanced? The enigma of Kurt von Tippelskirch endures, a stark reminder of the human cost of war and the ever-present struggle between duty and conscience. His story serves as a cautionary tale, a reminder of the dangers of blind obedience and the importance of speaking out against injustice, even in the face of personal risk. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more content like this.
It's London Lee!